independent in thought, and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Day 32 of the government shutdown, and President Trump has no public events on his schedule. He'll receive an intelligence briefing and later have lunch with Vice President Pence. Congress is back in town today. Democrats rejected the offer he announced Saturday, where he proposed a temporary extension of protections for some young undocumented immigrants in exchange for the $5.7 billion he wants for a border wall.
Yeah, here we are. We're day 31, nothing, day 32. I've lost count at this point in time, day 35, because it's stupid. It's asinine. It's idiotic that we're in a situation where our government's not open because we're fighting over something that in the overall scheme of things, money-wise, is so small, right? It's so small. Well, he shouldn't be wasting money. It is less than, I think it's 0.01% of the government. It's like 1/10 of 1% of, I mean, it's nothing. It's nothing. Both sides need to just come to the table, right? And say, okay, here, what do you got? Will you take $4 billion for what you offered? We can do that. But as I pointed out, and I continue to do so, we're going to be here a year from now. Are we learning any lessons when it comes to this?
If he opens up the government, we'll discuss whatever he offers, but hostage-taking should not work. It's very hard to negotiate when a gun is held to your head.
Yeah, but you don't sign a contract, then negotiate. That's what people are saying, Chuck. Right? You don't go, hey, I'll sign the contract and we'll fill in the rest a little bit later, because we know, especially when it comes to government on both sides, later never comes. It doesn't. For the left, it's resist. It's 2020. For the right, it's Trump. Right? And he made this the bedrock of his campaign. He did. He wants to get something done. He threw something out there. Nancy said no before. I'm looking at a lot of the left-leaning establishment media that's been around for quite a long time, and they're at the point where they're going, well, he offered something. Aren't you supposed to then offer something back? Isn't that the way it works? Right? I've gone through tons of contract negotiations. What you ask for is the heaven, in hopes that maybe you get the stars or the moon. And if you're here on Earth, you offer the ocean and hoping to just give up the stars and maybe, the moon or maybe the stars. That's how it works. Right? But when you've got one side saying, nope, will not negotiate at all, and then turns everything into race, which is what ends up happening in this day and age now. If we can take a situation where there may be, at one time, you maybe even stood on the same side when it benefited you politically. But now, times have changed. You don't like who's in the White House. And in this day and age, any time that you can shut down a conversation, a negotiation, or a discussion, all you have to do is say, well, that's racist.
Minutes after the president spoke, hard-right commentator Ann Coulter blasted his move on Twitter, writing, Trump proposes amnesty. We voted for Trump and got Jeb. I'm stunned. This president seems to talk about wag the dog. This president's working for Ann Coulter. This is about race. Just a hunch. This isn't about economics or culture or anything else, because the hardcore cares more about this wall than anything else. And that's why he can't give on it, the hardcore.
Well, look, both sides have their hardcore, and that hardcore seems to drive a lot of what both sides do. The exhausted majority, the 70% of us who are over, need to make our voices louder. But because we have other things to do with our life that aren't politics 24/7, that aren't being affected directly by this, we don't. And maybe we should. Maybe we should insert ourselves in a much bigger way and say, look, both of you guys need to get your asses to the table and sort this out. Nancy, you liked it a lot before, but now you're against it. Trump, you're willing to give something. That's fine. You've offered something, but they're going to counteroffer. Then you guys try to figure it out. You may not get 5.7. Would you take 4? And then we can open this up and we can get back to actually doing the things that we need to do, because the reality is it's starting to affect people's lives in a much bigger way than the political side of you guys posturing over this situation.
With no end in sight to the government shutdown, the TSA now says that the closer we get to rent and mortgage payments due on February 1st, the more workers they expect to call in sick, refusing to work security lines for free. On Saturday, 8% of TSA's workforce called in sick. On Sunday, it was 10%, more than 3 times what's normal. In Atlanta, a food bank is trying to help keep these workers on the job, even though they're not getting paychecks, delivering 50,000 pounds of food to over 1,000 family members at the TSA.
We got to do better. We do. We have to do better. But when you are being led around by a certain vocal minority in your base on both sides of the aisle who are so hard-lined about this, it doesn't win for anybody. Period. Case closed. And then on the other side of things, you get situations like this, right, where you have Rep. Hakeem Jeffries coming out, and this doesn't help at all.
Challenging times in the United States of America. We have a hater in the White House. A burglar-in-chief, the Grand Wizard of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
The Grand Wizard of 1600 Penn Avenue. When you have these kind of things, this doesn't help the situation. It doesn't. It doesn't help the situation at all. Period. Case closed. It doesn't. The reality is he's president. It's time to sort some things out, get moving forward in a way that's real so we can get this country and these people back to work, and we can get on to dealing with debt, right? Remember that thing? Healthcare? Remember those things? Those things that matter on a day-to-day for all of us. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. I was reading a ton of articles about this whole thing with this, what took place in the March for Life with these kids from Kentucky and the way that it went viral. And, hey, did you see this thing? And everybody's got a point of view. And I was talking to somebody today, who was like, Chad, used to understand that, just these kids being there with those hats, what they represent. I said, well, what they represent to who? To a certain group of people, right? Alyssa Milano, it's the new white hood. She said that yesterday. Settle down. Settle down. So if I don't believe in your politics, or you don't believe in my politics, right? If you can just look at me and say, you're a Nazi, I could say you're a communist, and that is insane. But that's where we are. And why are we in this situation? Because we decided that we needed entertainment as much as we needed information when it comes to politics. When it comes to life issues, we can't just go, here is the data, here is the situation, this is what went down, you make up your own mind. Now we want affirmation, not information, and we need to make everything entertainment along the way. They're 15-year-old kids. Are we really in a situation where we're going to hold all 15-year-olds accountable for everything that they said and done? Well, he was smiling. People saying they wanted to punch him in the face. Sweet Jiminy Cricket. My goodness. You see what the, and I believe she is an SNL writer. And she's kind of hot. She said she would do something to somebody if they went and punched that kid in the face. And I thought to myself, this is who are we? But it's the intolerance of the tolerance. And I don't know how many times on the show we've talked about it, that it's so weird when you look at the way all these issues break down, right? Whether no matter what it is the left in particular believe they have some sort of moral high ground of my hate trumps your hate because my hate is done in a way that has compassion for the right reasons. Just the kid being there makes him guilty. Because he's there, because he's marching for life. And because he's marching for life, he wants to take away a woman's right to choose, and that alone is full of hate. Just him being there and being white and making that hat and wearing that hat makes him a bad person because of what that hat represents. When you've got people saying we've got the Grand Wizard of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, when you've got stuff like that, and you got yesterday the first words out of the mouth, the most placating SOBs that are out there in the world who just going to go out there and say, I'm going to say anything to get this crowd. Trump's a racist. Trump's this, that, and the other. I don't know what's in anybody's heart, but I will tell you this. At some point in time, it gets old, and the discussion that needs to take place with where we go in this country, whether it be with the government shutdown, how we deal with immigration, how we deal with debt, how we deal with climate change, is gone when you've got a small percentage of people who control too much of a conversation, both on the interwebs that get to the people that are in front of the microphones. That's not good. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. AMAC, incredible organization. Really, for people out there who are looking for the conservative alternative, the independent alternative to what's out there when it comes to advocacy, working in behalf of you, this is where AMAC comes in. If you're over the age of 50, take advantage of what they've got going on. It's a free one-year membership. They're focused on protecting interests of mature Americans. They offer alternative perspectives on issues like Social Security reform, protecting our borders with common sense immigration laws, fixing Medicare. Plenty of lobbyists out there lobbying against a lot of the beliefs that you have. But these guys and gals are going out there and saying, well, wait a minute. We need common sense reform here. We look at Social Security. We need to fix this. Medicare reform. We need to fix this. That's what they're there for. And they're doing it on behalf of independent voters like you who are looking for somebody that's going out there with common sense. Plus benefits. Woo! So many benefits you cannot believe. Retail, restaurant, hotel, travel discounts, incredible benefits to things like Disneyland, Disney World, SeaWorld, Legoland, up to 40% off movie tickets, things like that. Join today. It's 1 year free. Don't even want your credit card. Go to amac.us/Chad. That's amac.us/Chad. Again, no cost, no tricks, no credit card. Free membership for 1 year. Go to amac.us/Chad or call 888-355-1668. That's 888-355-1668. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Serving up talk radio medium rare and dripping with irony. It's Chad Benson.
No surprise here.
I don't sing my own songs.
Why? A Star is Born, nominated for Best Picture, along with Roma, the two films seen as a lock. Going into the nominations, they're up against BlacKkKlansman, Bohemian Rhapsody, The Favorite, Green Book, and Vice. Only 8 films nominated, 10 were possible. Black Panther's the first comic book adaptation nominated for Best Picture. Left out of the mix, the Barry Jenkins film If Beale Street Could Talk and First Man. Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Hollywood.
So the Academy Award nominations came out today. I did not get any of those nominations, but I'm okay. I am happy with the work that I did in motion pictures. The list is the who's who of stuff and junk and whatnot of movies that I normally don't see. I joked earlier that I've actually seen more of these movies than I have of the Razzies, which is unlike me. But I have been saying for weeks and weeks and potentially months that the movie that is going to win it is Roma, and I think I was spot on. BlacKkKlansman, good flick. Black Panther, good flick. Bohemian Rhapsody, great flick. Like them all. I haven't seen any of the other ones, but that's more than I've seen in the Razzies. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. And Roma is a Netflix movie that, if I'm correct, I don't think has made too much money at the box office, and it's playing in super select theaters. I mean, they'll probably roll it out, and it's a movie that I just again, it's a Netflix film, and this has always been the big thing is Netflix doesn't get the same respect because it's competing in a weird way, even though it's kind of a partner with Hollywood. It's competing now, and that makes them uncomfortable, and they're close to being the Netflix studio because there's only 6 studios that are actually in the Academy, and they're going to lose one I think, when the Fox-Disney merger goes through. So they're close to allowing Netflix to come in. But, all in all, it's the usual stuff that I just don't see. I do want to see Green Book. That looks really good. I have no idea what the favorite is. I don't know. I know what Vice is. I know what A Star is Born is, but I have no idea what the favorite is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you each and every day. Even when there's a shutdown, we deliver to you on point, as we always do, your urban word of the day.
It's time for the urban word of the day, fam.
What? Right now?
Time to get a little more hip on the streets.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Urban word of the day.
Dog walk. Now, if you've been following Cardi B and her fun craziness, and you've been following Tomi Lahren and her back and forth with Cardi B threatened to take her on a dog walk. That's when you beat someone's ass and you're dragging them around like they're a dog. So if you hear somebody say that, especially with the youths of America, you know exactly what's going to happen. Dog walk is your urban word of the day.
Thank you for saying that in dated urban slang so that I'll understand you. That there was the urban word of the day. We damn stretched your cranium.
Yeah, that is ugly that they got into that. And that, again, you know what? Cardi B, I have got zero. This is where, I was talking to somebody yesterday and they were like, they were texting me saying, well, she only's got like 1 million or 2 million Twitter followers. And I said, yeah, but you're missing the point. Her Twitter followers is no big deal because she's a Instagram hero and she's got 40 million Instagram followers, and that is where a lot of the youth are going to. And when you take a situation and you push it down to the point of I can't fight with you when it comes to you bringing facts or this, that, and the other into something, and so I'm just going to beat your ass, that to me is where you lose me. You lose me. And this whole thing, it gets ugly. We should all just take a deep breath, okay? Everybody breathe, for God's sakes. Taking it way too seriously. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. Super Bowl security. What's going to be happening on the Super Bowl? Should we be worried about anything? Text the program as well. Check us out on Facebook. Chad Benson Show. It is the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
You can't have a compromise when one side is determining not only what they want in the bill, but what we want in the bill without even seriously negotiating with us. That is not how negotiating works. That's not the art of the deal.
So he's giving you something you want. You want DACA restored. He's giving you even more protections, up to $1 million instead of what, 250 or 300,000. So he's expanding who comes under the DACA executive order, and he's expanding that to the point of almost 1 million people. 700,000 DACA, and I look at this and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I may not be a fan of what, is going on here, and I think there's blame on both sides, but I look at this situation and I say, I feel like he's giving you something. And then you come back and you say to self, all right, he's giving me something. So then I'm going to have to counter with something. And then he'll come back and maybe counter with something else. And then I'll counter there, and then we'll meet. So maybe I get 5 years at $1 million, and instead of giving him $5.7 billion, I give him $4 billion. But I continue to tell everybody this. This is a preview of what will possibly happen in 11 months when we go through this crap again.
Now he's saying, well, I'll give you this back temporarily if you give me a wall permanently.
Yeah, because temporarily is what that thing should have been. It was an executive order. The minute DACA was signed, it could have been undone by the next president, which it was. And you guys had the opportunity years before Trump got there to deal with it, and you didn't do it. And he said on numerous occasions, right, that it's time to get something done correctly.
A 3-year extension of temporary protected status, or TPS. This means that 300,000 immigrants whose protected status is facing expiration will now have 3 more years of certainty so that Congress can work on a larger immigration deal, which everybody wants, Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be done. Not by fiat, not by, hey, I grabbed my pen, I think this is just the right thing to do. We're going to save 250,000 or 300,000 people who were brought here against, and I love how they say they were brought here against their will. They were children who came here with their parents. It wasn't like they were 6 months old and go, no, this is kidnapping. This is kidnapping. So, the way it works is, in any negotiation, trust me, I've been in more than a few, you ask for something, they counter. Then you ask for maybe a little bit less, and then they counter. And then you ask, and then the next thing you know, you meet in the middle. $4 billion, $4.2 billion for 1 million people, protected status, dreamers, 3 years so they don't have to worry. And along the way, you come up with a way to make it permanent through the way that it should be done, to make it law, as opposed to whatever it is that the president decides to sign into executive order that can be undone by the next person. It's ridiculous.
Is there a plan truly to throw federal workers, DACA recipients, Customs and Border Patrol, and indeed all Americans under the bus just to extend this run of political theater so they can look like champions of the so-called resistance?
He's fun, Mitch McConnell. But he's right. So you got to make up your mind. Is this something that you guys want and you think you can get done in a bigger way, and could giving him a little bit less and both of you coming out like, oh, is that possible? Because that's the way negotiations work. If before he says something, you say no, that's not a negotiation. You're not interested in actual negotiation. And partly, we the people are to blame for that. And by we the people, I'm not talking about the exhausted majority, the alt-middlers here, the 70% of us. I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about the deranged minority on both sides who've seemed to hijack the party and hold them hostage as much as, quote unquote, Trump is holding the government hostage, to not be seen dealing with, talking with, conspiring with the enemy, which is a Republican or Democrat. That's it. The people that want 100% of nothing rather than 70% of something. Those people. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Super Bowl is set, but what may happen?
It was a nightmare last year when cyber crooks locked up Atlanta's municipal computer systems and held them ransom for $50,000. The city refused to pay and wound up shelling out an estimated $9.5 million to pick up the pieces. At the Chertoff Group, a cybersecurity management company, Jason Cook says
they're actually more prepared than many others who haven't had to deal with this.
And Cook says city, state, and federal officials are going to need that expertise. Not only is the Super Bowl a big event for fans, it's also a big event for hackers.
Yeah, it is. And the fact that I was telling producer Phil, so wait a minute here. Your chance was to give $50,000 to this group, And instead it cost you $9.5 million to sort out. And I know that sounds like, oh, we don't pay people. Here's the thing. It's done. Right? It's done. It's done around the world. Well, we don't negotiate. Well, I see it. Hospitals get hit with this a lot. And at some point in time, you go, it's easier to pay them $100,000 in Bitcoin and get back all of our stuff than to be held hostage. Because the reality is what it's going to cost you down the road is not only money, but time. In the shipping world, they do it all the time. Pirates come, they've got money put aside, they know that this is just part of the business, and they don't want to get into a position where, now some companies have gone into the position now where they have armed some of their ships, but a lot of times they know that it's sad, but it's a business. And the same thing goes for people who get kidnapped in faraway lands and held hostage for ransoms, that it's business. It sounds just like that's the weirdest thing in the world, but it kind of is. Well, we don't negotiate with terrorists. Well, they cost you $9.5 million, or you could pay a bunch of slobs and figure out how to protect your system better, right? Pay some guys some Bitcoin who are sitting there with their Mountain Dew in their mom's basement somewhere, or in North Korea, or in the former Eastern Bloc, and otherwise you're going to be in a situation where it's going to cost you a lot more money and time. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. People are texting in about the Academy Awards and asking me, am I going to watch it? No, I don't watch any of these shows. I don't watch any of these shows because I never did watch any of those shows. I didn't. Will I watch the Super Bowl? Yeah, I'm going to watch the Super Bowl. Well, I don't know why you should watch the Super Bowl, because this is that tribalism here. I'm going to watch the Super Bowl because, A, my teams are in it. I grew up literally 10 minutes from Anaheim Stadium, which is where the Rams played, till they broke my heart. And I've always been a huge Patriots fan, even when they were awful, long before Tom Brady ever got there. So, yeah, I'm going to watch it, and I don't care. I don't care the politics of it all. I watch the game. I watch the game. I don't go to the movies for the politics of the movie. I go to the movies to not have to think about this crap. But it's so funny to watch the way that people react towards, how dare you talk about the Oscars. I'm not going to watch it because I don't watch any of that crap. I can't even remember the last award show I watched. I think I was a kid. What was the one? It was Michael Jackson. It was the American Music Award when he did the moonwalk. I think that was
Motown
it.
25.
Motown 25. That wasn't even an award show, was it? That was just a celebration. God, see, I can't even remember the last time. I can't. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. All right. Butcher Box. Tastes great. Great for your tummy. Great for your soul. Great for your tummy. Really good. Amazing. If you like meat, if you're like me and you're like, I like good steak, love some good chicken, love great pork, hard to find, then you want Butcher Box. Delivered right to your door, guaranteed to be humanely raised, no antibiotics or hormones ever. It's incredible. You don't have to get any weird things. I saw that in the Thames, that there's so much cocaine in the Thames that the fish are freaking out. You have to worry about that with Butcher Box. It's incredible. And now they got Alaskan sockeyed salmon. That's right. Pure, sustainably harvested salmon from Bristol Bay, Alaska. The cuts, the quality. You're not going to find these in stores. And it comes, again, free shipping right to your door, less than $6 a meal. So what are you waiting for? Grab some salmon, grab some pork, grab it all. It comes in a big box right to your door, and you're going to love every ounce of it. And this is what they're doing for my listeners. Limited time. 2 pounds of wild Alaskan sockeyed salmon, $20 off your first box when you sign up at butcherbox.com/Chad. That's butcherbox.com/Chad, butcherbox.com/Chad. 2 pounds of wild sockeyed salmon from Alaska and $20 off. Butcherbox.com/Chad. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
No, deep doo-doo? Yeah. The Chad Benson Show.
Last month alone, Americans received nearly 5 billion robocalls. The do not call list is moot right now because of the government shutdown, but Sprint, AT&T, and T-Mobile have all begun letting you know when an incoming call is likely spam with a new caller ID feature that's labeled Spam Likely. Starting in March, Verizon will be offering its own free app to block robocalls. There's also an option to pay for something like that. It's an app called RoboKiller. For $4 a month, it'll pick up the phone for you, then electronically keep the scammer on the phone to waste their time. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Sign me up. I was, so I went and worked out at lunch, and I got back in my car, and it was like 4 missed phone calls. Some of them for 0000000. Some of them from numbers that were close to mine. And Phil, you brought something up earlier. You said, "Do you ever get a call from yourself?" And I'm like, no. First of all, I wouldn't even take a call from myself, but you've gotten a call from yourself.
Yeah, it was really odd. I looked down at my phone, like, that's my number. I'm not answering that.
I don't want to talk to me. It's crazy. And $4 a month seems like if you could get rid of all of those spam calls, and I get them from all kinds, just like I'm sure everybody else does. I'm even starting to get text messages like, click this link and I'll show you how to make $400 million from your home. What? This video will change your life on how you can sell blah, 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 blah from your home. What? It's nuts. It is. And because it's not the same old phone lines. And then you've got also the fact that, like, during the election, it was insane. During the election, it was absolutely ridiculous. I was getting 20, 30, 40 phone calls a day on top of my usuals. And if you know me, then you're texting me. You're not calling me because I'm not answering. I answer for Jack, and that's about it. Like, you'll answer. It's like, somebody dead? Nope, then why are you calling me? It's crazy. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Somebody tweeted at me and said that, you know, we've got to open up. We've got to open up the government so we can then negotiate. And I'm like, no, we've done that how many times? Right? How many times have we opened up the government to negotiate? You wouldn't sign a contract without knowing what's in it, and they're saying, hey, we'll put stuff in it later. You wouldn't do that. Right? No. You get it in, you get everything down that you want, and then it's in writing, then you sign the contract. You don't go, okay, let me sign the contract, and later on they're like, oh, we promise we'll put everything in there we'll negotiate that. It doesn't work that way, and that has happened on how many occasions? Now, I wish Trump would have done the same, what Lindsey Graham asked for last week, which is open the government up for 2 weeks or a month, negotiate, then if not, declare a state of emergency. I wish he would have done that. But he said no, and he's holding firm on that, and we'll see. We will see. I don't know what is going to happen, and I know that he's looking at, I believe it is next Tuesday still, the State of the Union. So that's going to be really interesting to see if that does take place or not. But it looks like he's going to try to go through with it. We'll see. We shall see if that actually gets done in the way that he thinks it's going to get done or not. You just never know. Who wants to go to a party?
An Arizona man named Will Novak received an email inviting him to Angelo's bachelor party in Vermont. He didn't know Angelo or anyone at the party. The invitation was meant for a Bill Novak. Will decided to go anyway. He crowdfunded his trip to Angelo's bachelor party and turned that into a viral hashtag.
They all knew our names. They were treating us like celebrities, like Angelo's bachelor party. Hey, Will.
Will and the rest of the party told GMA Day they would give the leftover money, several $1,000s worth, to Angelo and his new wife. They're expecting a baby. And Will fared better than Bill. He dislocated his shoulder in a ski mishap.
How cool is that? I would totally do that. Hey, you know, like you always hear about that. It's always something like Thanksgiving, right? Like somebody sends a text to somebody else, and next thing you know, they're like, oh, I don't really, and then you show up. But that is really cool. Hey, let's crowdfund this. We'll go out there and party and have a good time at this guy's bachelor party. And I wonder if he's a party tornado. Like it was going to be low-key, and then this guy shows up, and he's just insane. But he's given the money that they crowdfunded to the to the soon-to-be husband and wife who are expecting a child. Good for him. Good for him. And you made some new friends. Who knows? Maybe the mistake, you make lifelong friends. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Oh, my Lord. I don't know when this thing's going to open up. I put it last week, over under 43 days. So we're getting close to that. But you do ask yourself at what point you're going to start to lose people that you're going to have to rehire or replace. And it's just ugly. And remember, starting February 1st, people are going to be missing mortgage payments, right? Rent, food stamps, things like that. That's when it's going to really get serious. And potentially, you're going to be looking at a situation where we, the average person who's still far removed from it, are going to start to feel some of these repercussions. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. By the way, Cardi B's on Instagram. So am I. At Chad Benson Show. And you can check out the Facebook as well. The Chad Benson Show. It is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Mr. Trump might get some credit for a bipartisan immigration victory. Do you feel that that's true?
I think that is fundamentally untrue. I think that the reason we're in this dilemma is that the president has made demands and is simply insisting on a vanity project, a campaign promise or applause line, and no president should be allowed to take the nation hostage to achieve a personal triumph.
Now, you hear that word hostage, gun to people's heads, things like that. It's a bunch of crap. Both sides are holding these 800,000 plus workers hostage. They are, right? You may not like the way Trump's gone about things, but he's at least put something out there, which he should have done a long time ago. And it's out there. Whether or not it is going to, work as far as even starting the negotiation is slim to none, but we shall see. And now we have dueling bills. So, Thursday, Mitch McConnell is going to have the Senate vote on Trump's pitch to fund the border wall. If that doesn't pass, Democratic-backed package to open the government immediately will then be voted on. And when that doesn't pass, we'll be in the exact same position, but it will be dueling bills. So there you guys go. Nobody's going to win here. And it's we're not interested in a fix at this moment in time. We're not. And centrist Democrats are going to Nancy Pelosi saying, we need to end this. We need to figure something out. You need to go and you need to start negotiating. At least sit down, right? You could call it theatrics. And it's funny how both sides scream it's all theatrics. They all love theatrics. They all love it. They all love having their names out there. They all love this crap. Get it done. This is no way to run a freaking country. This is ridiculous. It's an embarrassment. Both sides are dropping the ball here. He's obstinate. He's mean. He's racist. Get over whatever you want to say he is, and you say to the world all day that he's a grand wizard of the White House, all of that. I just go. He's the president right now. Go sit down, talk with him, act like an adult. Same thing for you, Trump. Get this crap sorted out. It's that simple. Period. Case closed. End of story. Will you take $4 billion? Will you take 3 years at what he offered you? Because you haven't. Are we good? Can we go now? Can we get everybody else's lives back on track? Can we? Because this is getting old fast. It is. It really, really is. It's a joke. It is a joke. And what's happening all too often here is we have a small group of vocal bases inside of the base that is hijacking the proceedings and telling them, dig in, don't give in at all. Let me tell you what leaders do. You lead. And sometimes you have to do things that are quote-unquote unpopular, but you know better that it's for the better of the masses. You get that. That's about being a leader right there. You do things that are unpopular. Not the things we want, but the things we need. That right there is what matters. That right there is absolutely what matters. Not this. This right here is political posturing, and it's not moving the needle anyway. And instead of hoping to make the 70% of us who really don't identify with either of you because you're all a bunch of clowns, but you're playing to those 15% of the extremes. I'm over it. You bore me. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Well, not that it matters, but apparently, according to AOC, we don't have long.
Millennials and people and, Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And this is the war. This is our World War II.
I like to ask somebody from World War II, just out of curiosity. Look, climate change, I don't care what you think of it. It's become too partisan and it shouldn't. We should treat the globe, our Earth, our home in a much better way. But when you come out and you say it's over in 12 years, if that is the truth, I think no matter what you think that you're going to do, it ain't going to be enough. It isn't. It isn't going to be enough to reverse it. It isn't. It's not going to be enough to reverse that. It's crazy. And she gets cheers. And everybody says, oh, because it's so funny. The people, when I talk about her, and I don't, she puts herself out there. I mean, she's on Colbert last night, right? She's everywhere. She puts herself out there. She fights with the left. She's going to be a bigger pain in the ass to Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer in the long run than Trump is, right? Because the way they look at it, Trump is eventually going to leave. He's either going to be voted out or he's going to term himself out, and they still may be there, and she's going to be there. But when you come out and you say, we got 12 years, that doesn't do us any good, right? Let's talk about it for real. But when you start talking about, when you use climate change for social justice, for income inequality, for, she said today that, you know what, billionaires, it's immoral. I mean, there's some good people out there, but by and large, how is it immoral to be wealthy, right? How is it immoral? I'm curious. Well, it's the way you get money. So everybody who's got money is immoral. And somebody texted me today, and or I posted it, and somebody tweeted at me today and said, yeah, it is immoral to have that kind of money, and that the minute you die, that all of your money should then revert to the state or to the government. I have news for you. If that was the truth, right, on my deathbed, as would everybody else, I'd burn it all. There's no way that I would ever, as would anybody else, because it's none your business. It's none your business. If you want to leave it all to your kids, if you want to light it on fire, if you want to give it all away to your favorite charity, or if you want to throw a big-ass party. But it's coming. This is coming. And people keep asking me, how is it that people in a younger generation look at socialism? I'll say, well, first of all, they haven't gone through it. There is no great evil. They look at Venezuela and they're like, they chalk it up to nothing. They don't look at the great evil that was the Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc and the way it was. And just like everything else with kids in a younger generation, doesn't matter if they're on a date or if they're whatever it is that they're doing. They believe that they know best and they can do better. There it is. But this younger generation, this is what they believe strongly in, and they're more liberal, and these are the kind of things that they're going to take up, and it's going to be important to them to do. And the facts are that they're going to have to, like everybody else that's ever been, they're going to have to see it for themselves. Because telling them, showing them, look what happens. They don't get that. They don't get that. They don't. Well, I was reading that in Davos, which is where the big economic summit's going on, that the people there are talking about the 70% taxes. By the way, 70% taxes, I'll explain it to you. Not from $1. It's when you get to a certain level, right? You could, here's the way that wealthy people, right, how they do things. They don't get a W-2 like you or I. They don't get, they don't get they don't get a paycheck. They do things in so many different ways, and they have hundreds and thousands of hours a year worked on their taxes, how they shelter income, what they do with it. You could say, I'm going to charge you 100% from $1, and they'll figure out a way to make it work. That's the reality of the way it is, right? That's the reality of how they work comparatively to the average person. And 99 times out of 100, it's not illegal. It's the things that they find inside of the tax codes that they're able to use to their advantage that we all wish we could find if we were in a situation where we could use it to our advantage, and that we do try to find. When your tax guy looks over and goes, how many miles a week do you drive? How many times you go out to lunch? Come on. They just do it on a huge level.
My son, it is your time.
History made by Black Panther. The Marvel movie, now the first comic book-based film to ever get a Best Picture nomination. 7 nominations in all for last year's highest-grossing movie. And a big day for Netflix. Its film Roma tied for the most nominations, including Best Picture, the first time Netflix has a horse in that race. Netflix also had 3 nominations for The Ballad of Buster Scruggs and a nomination for documentary short. 14 nods, one of the leading studios this year.
Yeah, big time for Netflix. That movie's made like $3 million. A lot of times what they do is they get him into 1 or 2 theaters to say they got him into theaters, and then they can run to the Academy and say, we got it in theaters, this is what happens. And Netflix is, they're a player. They're a player, and they were fought for years. To this day, I still think the best thing they've ever done is a movie with Idris Elba called Beast of No Nations that a lot of people thought was the best movie 3 or 4 years ago, about a child soldier that got completely shut out because Hollywood didn't like the fact that we're kind of partners, but we don't want you in our neighborhood just yet. But Roma, I think, is going to win a lot, and I've been saying it. I predicted it, and you know what? It's a movie that I'll never see. It's in black and white about a family in Mexico City from the 70s that's struggling. There is, even Phil, who loves artsy-fartsy movie, producer Phil, has said, I've got no interest in seeing that.
None
0.
whatsoever.
None whatsoever. None. But the Academy likes it, so we'll see. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Wouldn't it be great if Black Panther won? I will say, though, I am proud of myself. I have seen 3 of the movies that are nominated, and I've seen only one Razzie. That's a win right there, kids. Cultural Chad. MyPillow, amazing. Buy one, get one free. I'm going to sleep like a baby. I did last night. I'm going to sleep like a baby again. I got my Go Anywhere pillow. That will be traveling a lot with me this week because I will be going anywhere. Jack and I got a lot of stuff to do and big travels this week. But New Year's has come and gone. Your resolution to get healthier, one of those things is sleep. The better you sleep, guess what? Not only are you more productive, helps with your blood pressure, helps with the energy you have, therefore you're not trying to consume more food, therefore you're able to keep your weight down. See where I'm going with this? It's just better for you. That's where MyPillow comes in. 100% machine washable and dryable, made in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. Right now, my listeners, that's you guys, BOGO, buy one, get one free. Call 800-944-4975 or go to MyPillow.com. Use promo code Benson. That's 800-944-4975 or go to MyPillow.com. When you do use promo code Benson, you're going to buy one premium pillow. They're going to get another one free. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
We often see a disconnect between what the stock market is saying versus how we're feeling in the real economy. And sometimes the stock market can forecast accurately what's going to happen in the economy. It can also become a driver of the economy. It can become self-fulfilling. So if you and I both see our 401ks falling off a cliff, we might feel differently about whether or not we're going to go out and spend any kind of money.
Yes, and that's important because remember, the economy is still a huge driver in the political world. Whether it should or shouldn't be is neither here nor there. If we feel like that our jobs are safe, that we're making more money, that things seem rosy when it comes to our finances, what takes a lot of relief and stress off, it gives us lots of relief and takes a lot of stress off of us, we think that things are good. Things could be going to hell in a handbasket outside of that. But if the economy's going like gangbusters, we're okay. And this is going to be a situation where the economy's feeling we're losing about $1.5 billion a week that would be going into the economy because of the shutdown, and that's starting to grow, and commerce is starting to be affected by that, and that will show in the next quarterly report when it comes out and it says, hey, you know what? So you ask yourself, is this really all worth it? Right? You want to own it, Trump. You own it. But understand that this may be going against a lot of what you were pushing, how great the economy is. And it's such a psychological thing, right? Was that Henry Ford said it? Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And that's just it. If you think the economy's good, even if it's not, then in your mind it is, and you'll be okay. If you think it's bad, even if it's good, in your mind you're not going to be. And as a whole right now, I think we are, we saw what happened towards the end of last year, at the beginning of this year, and then it seemed to get steady. But as I've said it over and over again, you look at the consumer confidence. What do people feel about the economy? How do they feel about it? Is as vital as any of the other indicators. And you look at the new homes. Because if people aren't buying homes or buying new homes, then they're not buying those big ticket items that go inside of those homes, which matter and which drives the economy in a lot of ways. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. Tweet at us. All right. Kamala Harris running for president of the United States. I think she's a player in this, but she's already having to come out and apologize, much like Tulsi Gabbard, because she isn't enough of this or was too much of that. It's ridiculous. The Oppression Olympics is out there. Everybody's jockeying for positions. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The path is going to be through all of the states that are the 50 states of the United States. The path is going to be about talking to people who are right now aware that this economy is not working for working people. It's going to be about talking with people about the fact that right now we have an administration that has waged a full-on assault on American values and American ideals.
That right there is Kamala Harris. She is going to, she announced yesterday she's going to be running for president of the United States. And she is one, you can hear a lot of people over the coming weeks and months who are going to throw their hats into the rings. And some of them, like I said, they're throwing their hat into the ring because it'll raise their profile a little bit, may get them a book deal. They'll be able to say they ran for president of the United States, which will get them more money when they go and give speeches. But they have no shot of winning anything. They're just trying to raise their profile. She actually has a chance. She does. And again, you think this is early, but it's not. They've got a gauntlet, much like the Republicans have. They have a gauntlet that they're going to have to try to work their way through and navigate for the coming weeks and months to get to the point where they narrow it down to 3 or 4 that will then really get serious. And if you remember what happened during the Republicans, when they all started saying, okay, I'm running for president, you got to the point where there were so many that they were having 2. And you had a big kids table and then the small kids table. And you didn't want to be on the little stage. You wanted to be on the big stage. That's what's going to happen here. That is. Who is she? Well, former prosecutor, California. She's been successful. She's a senator. She's got name recognition that is growing. She's interesting. But here's the thing. Even the left is already attacking her. Some people saying she's not black enough because her mom's Tamil, right? So wait a minute. She's not black enough. She was a prosecutor. She sided too many times with police officers. She doesn't understand the plight of people of color when it comes to the system that is the criminal justice system. She doesn't understand that. And she was too good at her job. She has the potential, I think, to be a force in the coming election. And I know a lot of people, no. My big issue with a lot of people is on the left side of the aisle is when you're choosing, are you choosing for New York and LA, Seattle, and Boston, and you're forgetting the rest of the country? That there is Democrats across the country in the center who, while Democrats, have a D by their name when they vote, they are that same working person they always talk about, but they are going to church kind of Democrats. They are Second Amendment Democrats. They're not Berkeley, L.A., Manhattan kind of Democrats.
It is going to be about speaking truth, especially when there has been so much that is contrary to truth. It is going to be about working to regain the trust of Americans and understanding that they have a right to have a government and to have leaders in this country who see them and care about them and have some curiosity about their circumstance in life and their needs, be it for their family, their neighborhood, or their community, or their country.
We'll see. We'll see. Her tax plan and what she's rolling out, what she's going to run on is interesting. It's a $3 trillion tax plan, billions in tax credits for low-income renters, Medicare for all, a reduction in cash bail for inmates charged with criminal offenses. She's running on something a little bit different when it comes to the health care. She's pushing out 2 programs. A program which would be Medicare for all, which even the organizations that have looked at this, from whether it's Bernie Sanders' plan to everybody else's who's thrown out a plan like this, they're like, look, even the best estimate is insane. 20 trillion, 30 trillion. So, but she's also rolling out a tax credit plan where you would take what would have said you'd get tax credits. So they give you $3,000 or $6,000 a year as a credit, and you're supposed to spend that on premiums and things of that nature. I don't know how that's going to roll out, but it's a different thing. And that's what CEOs are saying. Look, she's coming to the table with different things. How good is she going to be? I think she's going to be, I think she's going to be a force for sure. But right now, even the left is taking shots at her because maybe, just maybe, she's not progressive enough. And the fact that she did her job so well as a prosecutor and she's got to apologize for that is the insanity of what some of these people out there, the coast, how they view things. She's got to apologize. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. I look at this. I look at the things that are going on. I look at where we're headed as a country. What does it even mean to be an American anymore? Have we sorted that out? Because I think that's also one of the things is everybody's trying to define what it means to be an American. They scream diversity, they scream this, that, and the other. I think we had what it meant to be an American. But I think that's been changed, and I don't think we should change what that is. I love diversity when it's real and organic, not forced. I love the fact that in this country, you may not start out with a silver spoon, a plastic spoon, or a spoon at all, but you can still get where you're going. And it may be harder for some than it is others. But I think we're even trying to change what that is. And I think the far left, which seems to have quite a voice, is really starting to paint that picture. And the more that they have a voice, the more that they get covered, the more that people talk about them, the more that I think this shapes up, especially in 2020, to be just a crazy run to the finish line.
The group Advocates for Highway and Auto Safety has identified 16 fundamental safety laws as crucial for reducing the 100 traffic fatalities that happen every day. They deal with seatbelts, child safety seats, impaired and distracted driving. Advocates names Rhode Island, Delaware, and California as the ones with the most stringent laws, South Dakota, Florida, and Virginia among the most lax. But the group's Kathy Chase says,
right now we are mired in mediocrity when we should be boasting about bold leadership.
No state has enacted all 16 of the Advocates' recommended laws.
Yeah, well, laws are... How many laws should we have? I mean, that's just it. I mean, I look at these things, when I look at all this stuff and they're talking about all of these things, there's so many things. And I will tell you, whether it's texting in the car, whether you should or shouldn't do it, each state is going to make its mind up, or each city in some cases, depending on where you live, they make up their own mind city by city. So you don't even know. You could be in a city where it's legal and you could not be in a city where it's just, you sit there and you're like, But distracted driving, kids. I'll say this, when I get Jack in the car, I get my little brothers in the car. It's a perfect example. So I get Jack and my little brothers in the car, and they can be as distracting as anything. On top of that, we're telling people, well, you shouldn't look on your phone. I agree. But by the way, we're turning your car into a computer. So there's 1,000 things you should do in your car. You want to change the radio, you want to do this, we've got GPS, we've got all of the, I'm not touching the phone, but I've got all of this stuff. It's nuts. It's nuts. But then you ask yourself, how much is too much? Don't tell me that I shouldn't pick up my phone, even if I'm just going to use my GPS, and then at the same time turn my car into a computer, which makes it even more confusing. And right now, my car's like a mini computer, right? I've got all this stuff, and goodness me, it's confusing me. It is. It absolutely confuses me. It's I'm pushing buttons. I'm like, what is this? I'm lost. Oh, damn it. I got to pull over just to take this out. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. We are still rolling when it comes to the shutdown.
Before DACA, I swam in shortfalls. I couldn't afford school. I couldn't drive a car. I couldn't even work at a at a job with a livable wage. It is thanks to this program that I have opportunity.
Yeah, a lot of DACA recipients are trying to figure out what's going on. The Supreme Court today said they're not going to take any action on DACA right now. And I think a lot of I think both Trump and the Democrats were hoping that the Supreme Court would take this up, because I think they feel if they take it up and they say it's this or it's that, it takes the pressure off them to try to negotiate some things. But we're still in the middle of a shutout. We're heading into our 32nd day, soon to be, how long is this going to go? I don't know, right? Neither side is really feeling it. Now, I think it's going to happen more and more. I think you're seeing TSA agents. I think commerce is being affected by this, and that's going to start to be felt, especially as we roll into this first quarter and through this, and I think that will be big. But once again, you got the left, in particular Pelosi and Schumer, who don't really want to have any kind of negotiation whatsoever, because they're saying, hey, we've got the moral high ground here, and we're going to basically, we're going to stand pat.
If he opens up the government, we'll discuss whatever he offers, but hostage taking should not work. It's very hard to negotiate when a gun is held to your head.
And they use those words, hostage taking, gun to your head. That's ridiculous, but words matter. Trump threw an olive branch out there over the weekend. They want any part of it, and we're not getting any closer to getting anything done. And if your starting point is, I'm not going to even talk to you about this, or sign a deal and then, sign a contract and then we'll put in what you're going to get later, that doesn't work. Everybody else has tried that for years and years. And even when you did sign something with something in there, sometimes it never even gets done. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenson. Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say what? The average man, get ready for this, kids. The average man. So, Phil, you and I are average men, should eat on average, cost-wise, anywhere between about $50 and about $85 a week is what it costs for us to eat. This guy is anything but average. Say what? Halfborn Julius Bjornsson, a.k.a. the Mountain from Game of Thrones, which I've never seen, spends about $500 a week on food, almost $25,000 a year. And get ready for this. Calorie count, 12,000 calories a day. Now, he's 6'9", 400 plus pounds. So it's not like somebody who is 5'10". He's still a mountain, literally, of a man. But that's insane. And it's weird because his workouts are nuts because he posts them all the time. And by the way, his wife is 5'2". So, but to think about the workouts he does and the amount of calories that he eats just to consume, and he'll eat like, this some of the stuff they were talking about he eats, and I was looking at this going, are you kidding me? So throughout the day, he'll eat things like an 8.5 ounce ribeye steak with 7 ounces of each of rice, carrots, bell peppers. He said that steak is the best meat for strength. Nobody's going to argue with him. He is supposedly the strongest man in the world, and I'm not going to argue with him. But I like what he said. He said, look, let me tell you something. He goes, my job is my body, and I treat it so. I'm disciplined. I'm focused when it comes to training and nutrition. I'm always prepared. That's a lot. I remember, who's the giant guy? Was it Sean Bradley? Was that the big tall center? Remember him? The stick? Yeah, he was like 7'7", and he was one of the first guys picked in the draft a long time ago. But he was only like 210 pounds, and he couldn't put weight on. They said he would eat 12,000 calories a day, but for whatever reason, he couldn't put weight on. This guy's the exact opposite. And watching his workouts is insane. Absolutely Insane. Imagine this. You walk into a courtroom, you come out about 45 minutes later, down umpteen millions of dollars, but you have a smile on your face.
A beaming Cristiano Ronaldo exited the courthouse and spent some time signing autographs. He came out some $21 million lighter, but was pleased his 2-year sentence had been suspended. Facing charges stemming from his days at Real Madrid, he was in court for about 45 minutes, where he signed the agreement, which will cost him millions in fines. Ronaldo would cut the deal to plead guilty with Spain's state prosecutor and tax authorities last year.
Yeah, and he's worth about $400 or $500 million. And a lot of these guys, especially when they go to Spain with the weird tax system, they don't, where do they make the money and how does it come in? How does it get paid? And they're usually their brother, their sister, their mother, their father's their agent. There's all this weird stuff that the way it works. But he was never going to jail. Lionel Messi, who's a big soccer star, last year, him and his dad got indicted. They were never going to see prison, ever. Now, what happens with him here in the United States with the DNA test? That'll be interesting. But I don't think he'll ever see charges here either. I just don't. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I wonder if he just wrote him a check right there. Here you go. I'll make that next month. I think he makes about €1 million a week with everything. That's a good living right there if you can get it.
At the White House, spokeswoman Sarah Sanders saying they've dismissed Nancy Pelosi's concerns about security during the State of the Union address.
Those concerns were addressed by the Department of Homeland Security and the United States Secret Service. At this point, we're moving forward.
But it's not clear if the democratically controlled House will still welcome the president during the shutdown. He may have to give his speech somewhere else.
Chuck E. Cheese? That'd be awesome. Right, Chucky? You know what'd be great? Why don't you do it from the wall? How about that, right? You could have, like, Kid Rock or Ted Nugent open it up for you. Do it from the wall. There you go. Right? There's no reason that says you have to do it there. You don't even have to do it. You could just send a letter out saying, look, this is the way things are going. Do I really need to tell you how things are going? This is what's happening. We're fighting. It's not good. Mom and dad are fighting. It's not good, but it's not your fault. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. I do like the way that they called Nancy Pelosi on her BS, saying, well, it's not safe. And they're like, it's totally fine. My God. That's a bunch of crap, lady. Everything's fine. What are they going to let him show up? Apparently, though, he's just roaming the White House kind of by himself because there's not a lot of staff there. So he's just doodly-doo-doo-doo, just getting in no good and trouble. He's like, where's Stormy? Does anybody have Stormy's number? Oh, yeah, that's right. We're not friends anymore. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Grab the podcast, thechadshow.com, thechadshow.com. Grab yourself the podcast there. It is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Mr. Trump might get some credit for a bipartisan immigration victory. Do you feel that that's true?
I think that is fundamentally untrue. I think that the reason we're in this dilemma is that the president has made demands and is simply insisting on a vanity project, a campaign promise or applause line, and no president should be allowed to take the nation hostage to achieve a personal triumph.
A personal triumph, right? It's a personal triumph. Trump did offer something, right? That's not like that he didn't say, hey, you know what? I was just lying. I think if you go and you look at Trump and his campaign promises, he's trying to check off boxes of things that I promised and I'm taking care of. And this was one of those things. It wasn't like, oh, when did you mention the wall? Everybody knew that he wanted a wall, right? He came out this past weekend. He owned it. He said, I'm going to own this. This past weekend, he came out, said, this is what I'm willing to offer. In return, I want this. Right? It's a negotiation. You may agree with the wall. You may not agree with the wall. But government should be able to work together to come to some sort of conclusion on certain situations when it comes to problems that they may have, not seeing eye to eye, and get it sorted out.
Is there a plan truly to throw federal workers, DACA recipients, Customs and Border Patrol, and indeed all Americans under the bus just to extend this run of political theater so they can look like champions of the so-called resistance?
Yeah. Is that their plan? I don't know what their plan is. I think their plan is 2020. That's what I believe it is. Now, you may not like what he offered. Many people on the right do not like what he offered.
Minutes after the president spoke, hard-right commentator Ann Coulter blasted his move on Twitter, writing, "Trump proposes amnesty. We voted for Trump and got Jeb." I'm stunned. This president seems to talk about wag the dog. This president's working for Ann Coulter. This is about race. Just a hunch. This isn't about economics or culture or anything else, because the hardcore cares more about this wall than anything else. And that's why he can't give on it, the hardcore.
Look, there are people out there that absolutely care only about the wall. Right? They do. They care only about the wall. And there are people on the left that only care about the wall. Meaning there are people out there that if Trump fails at everything but he gets his wall built, it's a victory. It's an absolute victory. And there are other people out there that look at it and say Trump could go on and achieve incredible economic growth. He could, stabilize the Korean Peninsula. He could pull us out of all these places. He could do all these incredible things. But if he doesn't get the wall built, then that's a victory for them. This is a game that both sides are playing, and it's not good. It's not. It's ridiculous. We shouldn't be in this situation where we're talking about this far into a shutdown. There should have been some talking. And Nancy came out. She said no before the first word was uttered on Saturday. She knew. She's not. And she feels like, I don't have to do any of these things. I'm seeing the New York Times, I'm seeing the Washington Post. I'm seeing several other MSNBC say, okay, well, wait a minute here. He did throw something out there. Shouldn't you at least throw something back? Say, you know what, we'll give you $2.5 billion. And he says, no, how about 5 instead of 5.7? And you say, no, maybe we'll give you 3.6. And then somewhere you settle about $4 billion and we move on with our lives. But somebody is going to blink first. And in their mind and in their small vocal side of their base, they're going to feel like it's a loss.
Cannot have the president every time he has an objection to say, I'll shut down government until you come to my way of thinking. Understand, that is part of the point of this.
Oh, is it part of the point of this? Is that what this is? We're going to make a point? There's no winning here. There isn't. There isn't. You could call it a vanity wall. You could call it the centerpiece of his artwork, whatever it is. He's talked about it over and over again. He's made it really the bedrock of what was his campaign, building the wall, fixing the immigration system. I've said over and over again, I want a comprehensive, full immigration reform. It's got to be a big thing, right? Across the board that deals with the ports, that deals with drugs flowing in through the mail system and FedEx and UPS. It deals with what goes on at the actual, not just ports of entry, the ports where the big ships come in, not just where people drive their cars through. Deals with all of these things. And the visa program has got to be a full overhaul. And if you talk to people in a lot of places, and people say, well, people in California don't want it. Well, people down by the border may differ with you. Well, people in Phoenix don't want it. Well, people down by the border may differ with you. People who've got ranches, people who live right there. Well, people in McAllen and other places, they may not. No, you talk to people down there, they do, and they see the issue that's happening. And along the way, how about we do this? Let's figure out a way. I'm just throwing this out there to also make it easier for people to come here and to work. How about that? Right? How about that? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Today, kids, today, Oscars were announced. Once again, I was not nominated.
My son, it is your time.
History made by Black Panther, the Marvel movie, now the first comic book-based film to ever get a Best Picture nomination. 7 nominations in all for last year's highest-grossing movie. And a big day for Netflix. Its film Roma tied for the most nominations, including Best Picture, the first time Netflix has a horse in that race. Netflix also had 3 nominations for The Ballad of Buster Scruggs and a nomination for documentary short, 14 nods, one of the leading studios this year.
Yeah, so I was joking around. I've actually seen more Best Picture nominations than I have Razzies, which is usually not the case. Usually, I have seen many awful movies that make me laugh and entertain me, and that's all I want, rather than other things that get too deep and make me think. But I've seen several, I've seen The Black Panther, which I love. A lot of people have seen that, by the way. For those of you not keeping score, I wasn't the only one. But I've been saying for a very long time, Roma is going to win all these awards. I have so little interest in seeing Roma. So little interest in seeing that. But I said, this is it. This is it. And I've been screaming it that it's going to win all of these awards, and it's going to happen. You watch. It is going to happen. It's going to win a ton of awards. And Netflix has announced itself as an actual movie-making property that's going to go up against all of these other ones. So we'll see. 323. You can tweet at me. I don't know if you have issues like I have issues with this, but this drives me absolutely insane every single day.
Last month alone, Americans received nearly 5 billion robocalls. The do not call list is moot right now because of the government shutdown, but Sprint, AT&T, and T-Mobile have all begun letting you know when an incoming call is likely spam with a new caller ID feature that's labeled spam likely. Starting in March, Verizon will be offering its own free app to block robocalls. There's also an option to pay for something like that. It's an app called RoboKiller. For $4 a month, it'll pick up the phone for you, then electronically keep the scammer on the phone to waste their time. That's kind of fun.
Yeah. To me, that's worth it. I have to be honest with you. It drives me insane. And yesterday, because I rarely, I don't know if you guys are like me, you text me, things of that nature. That's how you get a hold of me. If you're calling me, unless you're Jack, rarely do I, many of you are the same way. People I talk to. How many times you talk a day on the phone? Very, very rarely. I probably get 20 phone calls a day from, I'm going to change your life. Listen to this message and I'll tell you how you can make a $3 trillion gazillion dollars, right? To carpet cleaning, and it's insane. It is I'm over it. And during the election season, this is one of those things where the election's a much different thing because they have different rules than businesses when it comes to robocalls. So, but I think $4, man, I'd pay $4 if I knew I wasn't going to get it. And mine says scam likely rather than spam. In fact, I've got an 800 scam likely, a 0000000 scam likely, another 800 scam likely, and that's just in the last 30 minutes. God, it drives me crazy. It does. It absolutely does. And they don't have the same rules, and in certain situations, because it's digital and all of this stuff, it drives me nuts. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Don't leave home without it. I'm talking about CarShield. I travel a lot. I'll be traveling this weekend. Driving out to see Jack, then driving up to go to a birthday party. It's a surprise party for my soccer coach that I knew when I was a kid. But I will probably, over the next several days, put on like 1,200 miles in my car. That is a lot of driving. But you know what? I don't worry about the what ifs because I got extended vehicle protection from CarShield. And just in case something does go wrong, I know that I have 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while my car's in the shop, and I would get to choose the shop I take my car to. My friend just went through this, and one of the things she said is it getting the rental car was massive because she had 5 days. She had to wait for a couple parts. 5 days where she got a rental car for free. That's amazing right there. That's what they will do for you. Save yourself thousands of future car repairs. Do what I did. Get covered by the ultimate extended vehicle protection. Call CarShield today, 800-CAR-6100. Mention code Benson. Or you can go to carshield.com. Check out all of the plans they have right there. And when you sign up, use code Benson. Saves you 10% right there. carshield.com, code Benson, or 800-CAR-6100. And remember, use code Benson to save yourself 10%. A deductible may apply. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
The police say they're investigating threats against Covington Catholic student Nick Sandman, who was seen in what initially appeared to be a tense confrontation with a 65-year-old Native American man. Other videos suggest it was the students who were being taunted by a third group, but the American Indian Movement chapters of Indiana and Kentucky plan a protest outside the school today.
Kill him! Privileged white evil devil kid! Kill him! Destroy him! How dare you wear that swastika? Well, it's a MAGA hat. Same thing. It's a hood. Ugh. This is the stuff that you just sit here and shake your head. This is the whole point is these kids went there. Right? These kids from this Catholic school went to the March for Life, and then Slate released a video, and then everybody chimed in, and a bunch of celebrities and other people backed away. I don't know if you saw this, but one of the producers who produced like Beauty and the Beast and several other, like the Twilight series, he said that those kids should be fed into a wood chipper. He since deleted it, and I apologize. Are you kidding me? Are you insane? What the hell is wrong with you? They're 15 years old. If they learned anything on this trip, it's that people are insane, blinded by ideology, to the point where you can no longer have normal conversations of disagreement. If you learn anything on this, it is ridiculous. It is. I said yesterday, what's her name? Jamie Lee Curtis, she came out and she says, I jumped to conclusions too fast because that's what we do now. We don't gather facts in stories. We go straight to conclusion, and then if we have to, we'll slowly try to work our way back if we have to. But it doesn't matter because as I was talking to people text me that agree that these kids are getting everything that they deserve. What makes me laugh is they'll just figure out a way to fit it into the story that they want to present to whoever. Well, he's a smug white kid wearing a MAGA hat, and he only went there to entice people into things like that, and how dare he go do these kind of things. That's a stupid argument. You're just trying to fit something in around the narrative that you want to paint to everybody else. That is a dumb-ass argument. It really is. But that's the world we live in nowadays. And I don't think it is a world that benefits any of us. When we can't have a differing of ideas, who we support politically, any of those things, and have a conversation about it. And we can get to the point where we can say, hey, you know what? These aren't kids. These are just little mini Nazis, and that they should be punched in the face and all of these kind of things. And you're sitting back there saying, they're 15. They're 15. You're an adult. Act like an adult. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. He's the most famous athlete on earth, and he has a smile on his face for a reason.
A beaming Cristiano Ronaldo exited the courthouse and spent some time signing autographs. He came out some $21 million lighter, but was pleased his 2-year sentence had been suspended. Facing charges stemming from his days at Real Madrid, he was in court for about 45 minutes where he signed the agreement, which will cost him millions in fines. Ronaldo would cut the deal to plead guilty with Spain's state prosecutor and tax authorities last year.
Yeah, a lot of these soccer stars who go to Spain and the way that they get paid, it's just it's interesting. And a lot of these stars end up, last year, Lionel Messi and his dad had to plead guilty to this, and they faced potential arrest, which, by the way, is never going to happen. I have news for you. You're never arresting Lionel Messi or Ronaldo and putting them in jail. Just never going to happen. But they want their money, and it's weird the way that they do these things and the image rights and all of this stuff. And it just, it's at times, even though they're the biggest athletes on earth, sometimes the things that go on around them are very shady. Very shady. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Kamala Harris running for president of the United States of America. She's rolling out her plan of the way that she sees America and what she wants to do. We're going to touch on that. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The path is going to be through all of the states that are the 50 states of the United States. The path is going to be about talking to people who are right now aware that this economy is not working for working people. It's going to be about talking with people about the fact that right now we have an administration that has waged a full-on assault on American values and American ideals.
That right there is Kamala Harris. She is going to, she announced yesterday she's going to be running for president of the United States. And she is one, you're going to hear a lot of people over the coming weeks and months who are going to throw their hats into the rings. And some of them, like I said, they're throwing their hat into the ring because it'll raise their profile a little bit, may get them a book deal. They'll be able to say they ran for president of the United States, which will get them more money when they go and give speeches. But they have no shot of winning anything. They're just trying to raise their profile. She actually has a chance. She does. And again, you think this is early, but it's not. They've got a gauntlet, much like the Republicans have. They have a gauntlet that they're going to have to try to work their way through and navigate for the coming weeks and months to get to the point where they narrow it down to 3 or 4 that will then really get serious. And if you remember what happened during the Republicans, when they all started saying, okay, I'm running for president, you got to the point where there were so many that they were having 2. And you had a big kids table and then the small kids table. And you didn't want to be on the little stage. You wanted to be on the big stage. That's what's going to happen here. That is. Who is she? Well, former prosecutor, California. She's been successful. She's a senator. She's got name recognition that is growing. She's interesting. But here's the thing, even the left is already attacking her. Some people saying she's not black enough because her mom's Tamil, right? So wait a minute, she's not black enough. She was a prosecutor. She sided too many times with police officers. She doesn't understand the plight of people of color when it comes to the system that is the criminal justice system. She doesn't understand that, and she was too good at her job. She is the potential, I think, to be a force in the coming election. And I know a lot of people are, no. My big issue with a lot of people is on the left side of the aisle is when you're choosing, are you choosing for New York and LA, Seattle, and Boston, and you're forgetting the rest of the country? That there is Democrats across the country in the center who, while Democrats, have a D by their name when they vote, they are that same working person they always talk about, but they are going to church kind of Democrats. They are Second Amendment Democrats. They're not Berkeley, L.A., Manhattan kind of Democrats.
It is going to be about speaking truth, especially when there has been so much that is contrary to truth. It is going to be about working to regain the trust of Americans and understanding that they have a right to have a government and to have leaders in this country who see them and care about them and have some curiosity about their circumstance in life and their needs, be it for their family, their neighborhood, or their community, or their country.
We'll see. We'll see. Her tax plan and what she's rolling out, what she's going to run on is interesting. It's a $3 trillion tax plan, billions in tax credits for low-income renters, Medicare for all, a reduction in cash bail for inmates charged with criminal offenses. She's running on something a little bit different when it comes to the health care. She's pushing out two programs. A program which would be Medicare for all, which even the organizations that have looked at this, from whether it's Bernie Sanders' plan to everybody else's who's thrown out a plan like this, they're like, look, even the best estimate is insane. 20 trillion, 30 trillion. So, but she's also rolling out a tax credit plan where you would take what would have said you'd get tax credits. So they give you $3,000 or $6,000 a year as a credit, and you're supposed to spend that on premiums and things of that nature. I don't know how that's going to roll out, but it's a different thing. And that's what CEOs are saying. Look, she's coming to the table with different things. How good is she going to be? I think she's going to be, again, I think she's going to be a force for sure. But right now, even the left is taking shots at her because maybe, just maybe, she's not progressive enough. And the fact that she did her job so well as a prosecutor and she's got to apologize for that is the insanity of what some of these people out there, the coast, how they view things. She's got to apologize. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. I look at this. I look at the things that are going on. I look at where we're headed as a country. What does it even mean to be an American anymore? Have we sorted that out? Because I think that's also one of the things is everybody's trying to define what it means to be an American. They scream diversity, they scream this, that, and the other. I think we had what it meant to be an American. But I think that's been changed, and I don't think we should change what that is. I love diversity when it's real and organic, not forced. I love the fact that in this country, you may not start out with a silver spoon, a plastic spoon, or a spoon at all, but you can still get where you're going. And it may be harder for some than it is others. But I think we're even trying to change what that is. And I think the far left, which seems to have quite a voice, is really starting to paint that picture. And the more that they have a voice, the more that they get covered, the more that people talk about them, the more that I think this shapes up, especially in 2020, to be just a crazy run to the finish line.
The group Advocates for Highway and Auto Safety has identified 16 fundamental safety laws as crucial for reducing the 100 traffic fatalities that happen every day. They deal with seatbelts, child safety seats, impaired and distracted driving. Advocates names Rhode Island, Delaware, and California as the ones with the most stringent laws, South Dakota, Florida, and Virginia among the most lax. But the group's Kathy Chase says,
right now we are mired in mediocrity when we should be boasting about bold leadership.
No state has enacted all 16 of the Advocates' recommended laws.
Yeah, well, laws are... How many laws should we have? You know, I mean, that's just it. I mean, I look at these things, when I look at all this stuff and they're talking about all of these things, there's so many things. And I will tell you, you know, whether it's texting in the car, whether you should or shouldn't do it, you know, each state is going to make its mind up, you know, or each city in some cases, depending on where you live, they make up their own mind city by city. So you don't even know. You could be in a city where it's legal and you could not be in a city where it's just, you sit there and you're like, But distracted driving, you know, kids, I'll say this, you know, when I get Jack in the car, I get my little brothers in the car, is a perfect example. So I get Jack and my little brothers in the car, and they can be as distracting as anything. On top of that, we're telling people, well, you shouldn't look on your phone. I agree. But by the way, we're turning your car into a computer. So there's 1,000 things you should do in your car. You want to change the radio. You want to do this. We've got GPS. We've got all of, I'm not touching the phone, but I've got all of this stuff. It's nuts. It's nuts. But then you ask yourself, how much is too much? Don't tell me that I shouldn't pick up my phone, even if I'm just going to use my GPS, and then at the same time turn my car into a computer, which makes it even more confusing. And right now, my car's like a mini computer, right? I've got all this stuff, and goodness me, it's confusing me. It is. It absolutely confuses me. It's I'm pushing buttons. I'm like, wait, what is this? I'm lost. Oh, damn it. I got to pull over just to take this out. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. We are still rolling when it comes to the shutdown.
Before DACA, I swam in shortfalls. I couldn't afford school. I couldn't drive a car. I couldn't even work at a job with a livable wage. It is thanks to this program that I have opportunity.
Yeah, a lot of DACA recipients are trying to figure out what's going on. The Supreme Court today said they're not going to take any action on DACA right now. And I think a lot of I think both Trump and the Democrats were hoping that the Supreme Court would take this up, because I think they feel if they take it up and they say it's this or it's that, it takes the pressure off them to try to negotiate some things. But we're still in the middle of a shutout. We're heading into our 32nd day, soon to be, how long is this going to go? I don't know, right? Neither side is really feeling it. Now, I think it's going to happen more and more. I think you're seeing TSA agents. I think commerce is being affected by this, and that's going to start to be felt, especially as we roll into this first quarter and through this, and I think that will be big. But once again, you got the left, in particular Pelosi and Schumer, who don't really want to have any kind of negotiation whatsoever, because they're saying, hey, we've got the moral high ground here, and we're going to basically we're going to stand pat.
If he opens up the government, we'll discuss whatever he offers, but hostage taking should not work. It's very hard to negotiate when a gun is held to your head.
And they use those words, hostage taking, gun to your head. That's ridiculous, but words matter. Trump threw an olive branch out there over the weekend. They want any part of it, and we're not getting any closer to getting anything done. And if your starting point is, I'm not going to even talk to you about this, or sign a deal and then, sign a contract and then we'll put in what you're going to get later, that doesn't work. Everybody else has tried that for years and years. And even when you did sign something with something in there, sometimes it never even gets done. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Sleep, vitally important. I got a good night's sleep last night. My Pillow, which is traveling with me. I'll be at a hotel tonight. Let me tell you something. It is so important. 2019, make sleep a big part of what you do. And I'll tell you why. When you see the benefits of sleep, productivity at work, how good it is for your health, it should be a no-brainer. It really, really should be a no-brainer. Buy one, get one free. That's what they're offering my listeners right now with MyPillow. 100% machine washable, dryable, so easy to take care of. 100%, meaning you don't have to do this and then hold it and fold it out. It's you put it in the washer, you put it in the dryer, boom, it's ready to roll. Backed by a 10-year warranty, made right here in the USA. Buy one, get one free. Go to mypillow.com. Use the promo code Benson. So you're going to buy a premium pillow, you're going to throw another premium pillow absolutely free. Buy one, get one free. It's BOGO. How great is that? MyPillow.com, promo code Benson, or call 800-944-4975. That's 800-944-4975, or MyPillow.com. Use promo code Benson. Buy one, get one free. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenson. I got your useless fact of the day straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Print free.
French officials say Chris Brown and 2 others are in custody in Paris after a woman filed rape allegations. The Grammy Award-winning singer is being held on potential charges of aggravated rape and drug infractions. Investigators have 2 days to decide whether to let him go or file preliminary charges. The woman who filed the complaint says she met Brown at a club near the Champs-Élysées, and they then went back to a nearby hotel.
He's just the worst, isn't he? Even if this is not true, and again, these are all alleged, he's just awful. He is. There's one of those guys where it's like every time you turn around that he's done something. And it's funny because the way that you look at what happened with R. Kelly and the way that this is all played out with R. Kelly, and as vile as he allegedly is, and he's just I don't know if you saw this last week, Producer Phil. Did you see what Dave Chappelle said?
No, I didn't.
Dave Chappelle said that after he did his joke about R. Kelly, that R. Kelly was going to have him killed. like these people are insane. These rappers are nuts. Like, you know, I mean, it's crazy. It's like, really? So you didn't like a joke, so you're going to have him hit? And Chris Brown, first of all, why'd you even let him in, France? That's on you. But it's just, you should know better. You should. You should absolutely know better. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Somebody's tweeted in and said that Kamala Harris has no chance to capture the middle of the country. It's going to be tough. But here's the thing about the flyover country, and the conservatives talk about it all the time. It's shrinking. The rural part of the country is shrinking. Look at a map at night. Most people live on or near the coast, right? They're living in the West. They're living near the coast. The good majority of the country is living, and that center part is disappearing. It's more rural, people heading out, the younger generation's going off to college and they're not coming back to their towns. But I think that she's going to have, like any of the, as I said, a coastal elitist, they're going to have trouble connecting with certain parts of the country. Absolutely. But do they need that anymore? Do they say to themselves, I don't need that? Is that, and by 2020, does that roll around, that even become more apparent that is not going to be needed? That you only have to cater to 3 or 4 spots to win the country. And that what was once, you got to make sure you hit certain states, you got to win these, that, and the others, or that's just going to be gone. You only have to win, maybe a handful of states to make sure that you've got everything. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. I just saw that Trump, the White House, has said that they are asking for security, asking to take a look in certain areas, maybe for the State of the Union, because for all of the stuff that we're talking about, they said they're ramping up security and looking in certain areas that they may do the State of the Union, because even though Nancy doesn't want him to do it, it's kind of disinvited him. And then, of course, he got her to get off the bus before they were going to fly over to do their 7-day excursion over to Afghanistan and the Middle East. The reality is he can deliver it anywhere. He could deliver it via writing, but they're looking at different places, I guess, to do it. And it's supposed to happen a week from tonight, according to what they want done. So we'll see. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. Your useless fact of the day. If you like the movie Top Gun, guess what? There is a real Top Gun school in Miramar, California, where I will be this weekend. I won't be at the Top Gun school. But if you ever quote Top Gun at the Top Gun school, you have to pay a fine of $5. I think they're in the middle of filming Top Gun 2, if I'm correct. Tom's scared. I hope he's in it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Have a good rest of your Tuesday. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.